Hello, ladies. I was going to say Saturday. It is Monday. Hope you ladies are having a great day. I am American Farkas. I'm super excited. We're super excited, all of us. Debbie, Heather, and myself. This is our first live talking about breaking the stigmas around mental health and Monday Mindset Corner. We're real women, not that we're fake women, but real women in real life. We're doing all the things with real conversations, and we want to open up the dialogue to break the stigmas, to have these conversations, because even in 2023, even though some of us in our space, like the three of us, we constantly talk about this stuff. We're in spaces around it, but the truth is, even in 2023, there's a lot of homes, communities, and organizations that it's still stigmatized, and people don't feel safe talking about it, and they live internally in their head. So I'm going to pass this. Oh, well, I'm American Farkas. So I am, in regards to the Mom Link, I'm one of the leadership ladies as a director, overseeing public relations that's in and outside of the community, and overseeing in-person events. So my history with mental health is that my brother, around early 20s, he was diagnosed with multiple mental illnesses. So we're on a 30+ year journey. And I've been an advocate and his point person. And I've been digging through the New York, New Jersey area, trying to figure out all this stuff. And so it's so important because even my family around me that understand he's been diagnosed and why he was diagnosed, there's it's still stigmatized, and they still have this mindset that you can get over it, or when he self-medicates, uh he's addicted, but not understanding those levels that someone with multiple mental illnesses go through. So I'm here to help break the stigmas. And with that, who wants to go next? Debbie or Heather? Whoever wants to take the mic, please introduce yourself. Love you, ladies.
Take it away, Deb.
Okay, well, thank you. So my name is Debbie Dowling Waba, and I have lived most of my adult life with anxiety. I have a degree in psychology, but one of the biggest things for me was to really start talking about living with anxiety and getting through the different situations and scenarios that I've been through. And, I felt ashamed and I couldn't talk about it. And I said, well, why not? Because just like people have diabetes or heart issues, I have anxiety, and that doesn't make me any less of a person. So I just want to open up these conversations and allow people a safe place to come and talk and be able to express how they feel and know that they're not alone. That's the most important thing, knowing they're not alone. And if you are somebody that deals with somebody that has anxiety, validate those feelings, because they are real feelings to a person that has anxiety. It's not just in their head, it is something that they are actually experiencing. So if one message I can get out is validate it and actually just be able to talk about and have those open conversations. And that's why I'm so glad that we decided to do this as a team, and I'm looking forward to the conversations that we're going to have.
Yes, and my name, of course, is Sex Coach Heather. And I'm really excited about this conversation as well. What's really surprising for a lot of people to know about me is that I struggle with anxiety, and that I am an introvert by nature. And most people, when I tell them those two things, that I've had panics, that I social anxiety, they're like, "What? No." Because they're like, "Heather, you seem so outwardly confident, and you're showing up in all these different places, and I see you here and I see you there, and you have your voice, you don't mind sharing your story and all these different things." And I'm like, "Yes, but what you all don't see is even right before this live here, right before this live, I started to feel a little bit of tension, a little bit of just a slight bit of shortness of breath. And I was like, you know what? This is so important that we're talking about this, because I grew up in the church and there was no normalcy around anxiety. It was, oh, you're not praying enough. You're not trusting in God enough. You must not, you must be in sin, and you need to deal with the sin. And once whatever that is, then you'll be fine. So that's the kind of stuff that I heard. So my whole life, I didn't feel normal, and I kept this part of me a big secret up until several years ago, when I started to share about my anxiety and how I'm a Christian, and people were like, "Oh my God, what?" So I love this conversation. There's so many different types of anxiety. There's so many different things that can trigger anxiety, and so we're going to be getting into to all of that with these weekly conversations. Today is more of an intro conversation just to let you all know that we're going to be having these and that you can show up every single Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, so that you can tap in, feel normal, have a conversation in the chat. We can help you in your day while we're also helping us in our day, because as we talk about it, even though we're here to help other people, when we talk about it, we're also helping ourselves at the same time, which I absolutely love. Because right now, just me saying that out loud, I'm like, oh, I feel normal. I'm with two other people that struggle with. They're like, yeah, I still get you right now, Heather. So that's what we're going to be doing today. And I'm going to pass it back over to Mary Kim, and she's going to be leading us in the conversation today.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Debbie. Hello, everyone who's tuning in. I love that you shared that you're a natural introvert. I am too.
Me too.
And I didn't even realize, I'm 50. I only say that because in that time period, if you grew up around my age, we didn't have these conversations. Like, what was an introvert, right? What was self-awareness? What is self-responsibility? Like, but these are words that we hear all the time today, which is amazing, right? But when I was doing my bio, I'm like, I'm really an introvert. Like, I'm cool. And it's so interesting because back in the day, during the yearbook season, middle school and high school, I was always labeled the quiet person. And my friends were like, she's not quiet, right? And if you ladies know me, I'm like a talkaholic, but I really am quiet. Like, I'm cool, like just observing, taking it all in, and just deciding. And so when I'm meeting people, like I'm just such a big observer, but I've been labeled quiet my whole life. And it was like, and it never really bothered me. It was like, okay, I'm quiet, like it was like a label, and we didn't talk about labels being negative, right? But when I was doing my bio, I'm like, I really am an introvert. But because I've been showing up in my adult life doing different sales presentations or having to sell myself to get a job, I just automatically in my head, I go right there. So there's a purpose. So for me to get out of my introvert self, I just like lean into, okay, well, now I'm ready. I'm okay. The camera's on. I got to speak, right? Even the lives that I do on Instagram, there's a period of time where I do one every day or 3 times a day, depending on what's going on. And people are like, well, how do you do it? I'm like, I just have to. Like, we're here to share this. I need to share this. And that is, then I don't think about it. I'm like, okay, this is what I know about the person. These are the questions. And that gets me out. But that's a mindset, right? That's constantly pouring ourselves into our own selves to hype ourselves up. I'm sure you ladies can identify. So I'd love to hear like your viewpoint and what tools have you used to like get over that. People don't even understand that we actually go through this every day as well.
Yeah, and
well,
I think
real quick before Deb chimes in, because I know you have a lot of tools that you use with your clients. But one thing that you said, Mary Kim, you said that you were labeled quiet. I was labeled stuck up.
Oh, I got that too.
Yeah. Oh, Heather's so stuck up. I'm like, oh my God, what? I'm like literally scared of you. Like that, like that's what it really was. But yeah, I'd love to hear your tools, Debbie, because she shared a couple with me on the outside of this, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, so I'm also one of those that I am definitely an introvert, but I love to be around people. Although my official diagnosis is social panic anxiety disorder. And it's so funny to me because, like I love being around people and I love talking to people. So when I was diagnosed with that, I'm like, but how? Because I just love being around people. Why? Yeah. But instead, I thought about it and I was just like, I can see where I am in the situations, but how I kind of want to run away. So I've kind of just learned different tactics and stuff to keep myself in the situation present. And one of the things, even right before getting on here, I am terrified of public speaking. Terrified. When I had to take that class in college, I would literally sit in the hallway and cry. Please don't make me do this. Please don't make me do this. But I find that when you talk about, like for me, especially when I talk about a topic that I'm really passionate about, it's so much easier for me to talk about it and express myself than if I'm talking about something that I don't relate to or I have no knowledge of. So I think that that makes it easier, and that's why, like, here I'm a little more comfortable. But I did have to do my deep breathing before I got on because I am so passionate about it. So it does make it easier for me to talk on this live, but it is hard. But I think one of the things we have to all learn is being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because without being comfortable in the uncomfortable, we're never, or being uncomfortable in the comfortable, we're never going to grow. We're never going to achieve different things. And, so one of the tips that, like I share is I don't like going to the grocery store because it just is so overwhelming to me. But I learned to play this game that I call the ABC game. And that's how I get through the supermarket is I have to find objects within the store, starting with the letter A. Then once I get that, then I go to the letter B. And by the time I know it, everything I need is in my cart. I'm on the checkout line, and it's just gotten me through. So that's just one of the many ways that I can give as a tip to use for you to get through different situations. And, most of my adult life has been living in anxiety, but I learned how to maneuver and to get through the situations. This way here, I can basically go on with my life and be happy with it, ditch the stress and move on and just be able to live my life happily and get through any situation.
I love that you shared that, Debbie. And for me, when you were sharing, it's kind of, when we focus our mind on something else, right? We forget the anxiety. Not that we forget, but mentally we forget, right? Because we're focusing on the ABC list, right? So we're not so much concentrating on, oh my gosh, I'm more anxious. Because then we get into the spiral of like, we can become extremely anxious and extremely uncontrollable. That's my terms, which may not be right. Debbie has the degree. Uncontrollable because we're causing more anxiety. We're causing more stress. So those tools that you gave, or whatever tools may work, like sometimes people listen to music, whatever, like gets your mind off that present state, utilize it, because we can take our own self into a spiral of more and added stress and added anxiety or depression or whatever it is. So what I love that one other thing I want to share, and I'll pass it to Heather, is that I know a lady who's older. She's around my age, and she recently got diagnosed with ADHD. And she was sharing it with me, and I was like, I'm so happy for you, right? Because you've been wondering why your behavior has been this, why your pattern of X has been that, and now you know why. So sometimes labels or being diagnosed is not a terrible thing, but now that you understand, you can find ways and tools to help balance that, right? And if we don't know, our mind can go off to left or right and all the stuff in between. But being able to know what is going on allows us to help or alleviate and take ownership of it. It's really about taking ownership of it. And then being in safe spaces so that you can share. So Heather, I'd love to hear what you have to say.
I just want to jump in and say you're not your diagnosis.
Yes, that's true.
that is true. And your diagnosis is not your worth either, which is very important. I think for me, what normally comes up right before, so I'll be fine, right? Most of us that have anxiety will be fine doing our thing. And then we know that we have to do whatever is next, like whatever that next thing is. Something is like, oh, what if this, or what if this, or whatever, right? So then that's normally where you are starting to overthink it, and then that's causing the fear, and then it can go into panic if you don't do the deep breathing and whatever. For me personally, now again, every single person that has anxiety, there's different levels of anxiety. Panic disorder is like the worst one, because then you're gonna pass out, right? But for me, what normally comes up, and this goes all the way back to my childhood, is I have this fear of not being accepted for being truly myself by other people. And the reason why I have that is I was myself. When I was younger, I had no problems. I was going to the neighbors. Like if there was a new neighbor, I'd be like, hey, do you have any kids that can come out and play? I mean, I was like super outgoing and all of that. But what I started to hear from my family and also friends is you shouldn't talk. You shouldn't talk to people. You need to be scared of strangers. So that was like one thing. The second thing is my sister used to say, "Why are you always smiling?" So that made me start to feel self-conscious about my smile. So then for a while there in like grade, like upper grade and then junior high, I didn't smile as much because I was worried that other people were going to think that my smile was weird, just, because my sister said it. And then like there was other family members that would say things like, "You're too loud, you're too hyper, you're too this, you're going too fast." It was almost like Heather's too much. Like that was basically it. Like Heather's too much. So that's kind of what I heard. So when you have voices like that around you, it causes doubt about yourself, right? So then that doubt, you don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable. You want everyone to feel comfortable and you want to have friends and you don't want to lose friends. And then you get older and you're like, I don't want to miss out on business. I don't want to, push away a potential client or whatever it could be. So then you start reverting back into, and then you go in and you go in and you go in, and pretty soon you don't even want to show up at all. Like you're canceling stuff and all of these different things. So for me, what causes anxiety is that. So what I tend to do to help me to still show up as myself is I have an amazing belief tool. I use this in my sex coaching business. I've used this in my confidence building side of things. Now I'm using it when I'm coaching people that have other businesses. And so what I normally do is we'll take it all the way back and we'll figure out, where did this thought process start? Because in order for you to get better right now, we have to know what caused it. And so I have a lot of deep work where we're talk therapying it out, and we're doing the deep breathing like Debbie was talking about. And I'm taking them back to that situation so that we can start to heal from whatever it is. And then I'm bringing in, because I'm a born again Christian, so I bring in a lot of Bible verses with my work. And so then I'm bringing in Psalms 139, where God talks about how we're fearfully and wonderfully made, and he knit us together in our mother's womb on purpose. So everything about us is on purpose. Everything, our personality, our sexual desires, what we want to do for work, like all of that is on purpose. We feel it. It feels natural to us. That's the right thing. That's in our core, right? So it's really getting back to, how was I originally created to be made? And if God doesn't make mistakes, and if God loves me for me, and he approves and he celebrates me and the angels are celebrating me, like, why can I not celebrate myself? So it really does boil down to making that decision. Do I want to celebrate myself? And am I going to show up in the world as my full self, not caring anymore? Not letting other people impact the decision on how I'm showing up. So that's what I do. That's what I do with my clients. Mary Kim Farkas has experienced this. She was part of my program a year or something ago, 2 years ago. And so she knows, she gets it, but it's a really powerful thing. And then you're just doing that work every single day, because, those things just don't disappear overnight. It's like a constant being aware and a constant working through it and still showing up and doing what you can, to be the best version of yourself every single day.
Yeah, and it's difficult sometimes because we do get into the whole thing of believing what other people have told us. And recently I just went to this conference, and right before I was about to get on the plane, I thought about running the other way and not going, because I was like, what gives me the right to go here? Like, but I knew I had to be there, so I forced myself to get on that plane. And I got on that plane and I put in my earbuds and I listened to a book. And I was so glad that I didn't stop myself from doing that. And there's so many things that we can let get in our way. And for me, I always looked at it as, why do I have anxiety? Why? And then I realized that I was given that, and I call it my superpower, because my purpose is to help others. And with not experiencing it myself, and with not understanding from a personal aspect of it, how can I help others with it? So I look at it now as my superpower, and God gave me that so that I could go out and help others, and he knew that I could handle it. So that's where I come from. That I was given something that I can handle, but I can also help others with. And that's how I've had to view it now. And that's how I do view it now, because it is my superpower.
I love that.
It is. I love it too so much, Debbie. I think all of us have that superpower, right? And I think all of us have been around in some situation or another growing up. Because if you look at any child, right, when they're born, most babies, right, they have no inhibitions, right? They'll sell you to death, right? They'll ask for things a zillion times and they have no qualms. They're just like doing it, right? But all of us, life happens, right? And we get to like whoever's like, we hear different things. People tell us different things. They say, like, you shouldn't do this or you should do that. That's not right. And this is right. Like all these different things. And then we grow up with that and we are teenagers. And then we have our own experiences and our own relationships that are good, bad, or indifferent. And all of these things just compound our mind, right? That eats away at our beings. Affects how we show up or how we don't show up. But just being aware of that, like all these things. And so now, as adults, right, we all have these superpowers, but it's exactly what you shared, Debbie. What is it? What are we doing with our superpowers? Are we dumb?
Oh, we lost Mary Kim.
Yeah, I'm back.
There
I got a phone call. I don't know who's calling. Are we taking off our cape and hiding it in the drawer underneath, like the bottom drawer, and never seeing it again, or are we wearing it proudly? Because I truly believe this, and this is why I share what I share about my own life journey on different facets. Because it took me a long time, my mid-30s, to uncover this, that all these things that I've gone through were not made for me, because I was able to get through it. Like, I believe in God. So whoever you believe in, they allowed you to stand here today being able to talk about it, because not everyone is able to process it the way you have. Not everyone sees it with the way you do. And so our unique superpowers are really for us to give it away, because there is some kind of blessing or lesson or gift that comes with that. But many of us, we know, like, we don't have safe spaces sometimes. We don't have people who will understand, and so we hold it in, which we know does not serve us well. So I'm glad that all three of us are super women, doing what we can to make a difference. And this live is really like the start on LinkedIn, where we're going to keep sharing every week, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific, on different topics.
Okay,
So
I have a question. I have a question for you, ladies. Okay,
okay.
if you're open to sharing, I'll share mine. I'll share mine if you guys are wanting to do it. So, what's like an embarrassing thing that comes up that stirs up anxiety in you? Okay, so I'll share mine. This is very embarrassing, but because you're ladies, you're probably going to get it. Okay. So I've had 3 kids. I was pregnant 5 times, and it creates a lot of weird stuff with the having to go pee. So before kids, I could hold my pee hours. I mean, I could hold it for hours. I never got up in the middle of the night, nothing. So after kids, that completely changed, because, everything shifts down there and loosens up and whatever, right? So now every time I go out with a friend, or we're driving in a car with a group of, I don't know, men and women or whatever, I normally have to stop every hour. Some people don't mind it. Some people do. When I go on an airplane, I always get the seat closest to the bathroom. I always get an aisle seat, because that way I don't have to step over people and bug people because I'm getting up so often. So a lot of these things I've just gotten used to, and I plan my day around them. But it's embarrassing sometimes, because I do have to then say it out loud to other people that it might bother, because now we're taking longer to get to a certain place and that kind of thing. So that's one thing for me that's embarrassing, that does stir up anxiety. But then hopefully on the other side, someone's understanding, and then that calms the anxiety right away when I share it. But if you guys want to share something like that that's embarrassing for you, I would love to hear it.
But I know for myself, when I start to have a panic attack, my biggest fear or that I'm going to be embarrassed is, well, there's actually two. One is that I'm going to pass out and be embarrassed because I passed out and nobody knows why, but it's from this panic. And the other thing is I'm afraid of pooping my pants, literally. And I know that might be TMI, but sometimes that's how my body reacts to it. And all of a sudden I have to use the bathroom. And my biggest fear is pooping my pants in public.
No, I get it. I get it. I've been there too. I totally get it. Yeah, anxiety does cause stomach stuff, or like headaches or other physical things. What about you, Mary Kim?
I'm gonna share my son, and not I will share about me, but my son, when he first was taking the bus, because the entire from 7 weeks old to 5.5, I drove him to the daycare preschool, and so his first day of kindergarten was the first time he was taking the bus. He didn't want to do anything. He sat on the couch and he just pooped. And he pooped the whole week, like right before the bus came every day. And I was like, what's going on? Like, why are you pooping before the bus? Like, but mounds of poop. And then I'm like, there was something else he went to and he pooped again. And I'm like, oh, he must be anxious. So I don't do that. I've not maybe I did that was a little, but it was so interesting. My son has done that. He still does it today when he's like anxious about something or nervous. It doesn't matter where he is, he'll like poop. Like, but not even a little bit, like tons of poop.
It's like a big.
I'm not saying how much, Debbie, you poop, but I'm saying my son. We don't need to know how much you poop, but I get it from watching my son. I'm like, you know.
Oh, no.
See, you know,
But Heather, oh my gosh. Okay, so when I was pregnant, I was hosting a Super Bowl party. It was like early February. Desi was born on the 15th. And so I'm like, let's host this big Super Bowl party. And it's snowing and they're coming the next day. And I'm with my sister and it's snowing in New York. And we do the shopping and stuff. And I start laughing. Literally, all my pee came out. In the snow, my boots, my jacket, my coat. I'm like, what is happening?
Oh my God.
Then years passed. Okay. And I don't know what it is. But this year, and it happened recently too, twice. And I'm like, I don't remember holding my pee. And then all of a sudden I'm laughing about something and it's coming out. And I'm like, wait, where's the bathroom? And I can't go anywhere. And it's just like all over. And I'm like, what is going on? It happened twice in the last 6 months. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to go check out what is happening. But I know it's normal, even if we do those exercises. But I'm like, what is happening? And my sister's like, I told you something's up with you. You really need to go check yourself out. I don't know what's wrong with you. Why do you keep peeing? And it keeps happening at her house. She's like, why do you keep peeing? I'm like, I wasn't sure I was holding it. Anyways, but yeah, that has not happened in public.
For me, like I had 5 kids, but pee is still something I can hold pretty darn good. So, you know, but the only problem is
once I exercise too, and it's like it still comes up. It's funny because when you're saying that, what you're talking about, I'm like, oh my God, imagine me doing jumping jacks. I have to wear a panty liner all the time because I never know when something like that like that's gonna happen.
Oh, Heather, I have a secret. So the brand Poise is really for people who like, you know, go pee, right? But when you have like your menstrual cycle, if you have it, it is so much better to buy those than the maxi pads. I don't know why we're going on this topic. I felt like sharing it.
For women, and this is like what comes up. So what were you gonna say, Debbie?
Yeah, no, but it's a case of once I do go though, it's on. But I sit on the plane by the window because I won't get up from my seat. But also in my mind, I can control the plane, and I know it's completely illogical because I have zero control over the plane. But I sit there and I'm saying, okay, we're gonna go this way, we're gonna go this way. You know, but in my mind, I'm controlling the plane. But that's so it's funny you said aisle because you want to be near the bathroom, and I want to be near the window so I can control the plane.
Well, so whenever we fly together, then you know where I'm going to be sitting, and I don't know where you're going to be sitting.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is so funny. So, Mary Kim, what are we going to be talking about next week? Are we having a topic every single week that's different, or how are we doing?
Yes. Yeah, we're going to have a topic every week that's different, and that's something that's so powerful. People want to hear, like, us to extend it. So next week we're actually leaning into, it's Pride Month, and today's actually, I believe it's 7-year
7 years.
anniversary. 7 years. I can't think of.
It's 7 years for Pulse. It
What's
was
the?
Pulse down in Orlando,
Oh yeah,
Florida, and 49 people lost their life just being themselves and being who they were. And it was because of somebody that came in and really didn't understand or respect that. And that's why, I mean, these ladies are dressed so nice, but I'm wearing my shirt today because, I'm going out with my friends later to celebrate them and let them know that, they are people, and they have the right to live their life that makes them happy. And it's just a sad thing that happened. And
do you see why people are so scared to be themselves? I mean, that is taking it amplified, like what happened, But I mean, that's why people are so scared to be themselves, is not because they're just going to get shot up every day, but because, people aren't going to be comfortable. Yeah. It's very, very difficult. Right. But if we can all get comfortable with ourselves, every single one of us, and now we're all out here being comfortable with ourselves and just accepting people and loving people and knowing that God created each one of us on purpose, I feel like our world would be such a better place.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I love shared that, Heather, because the people who are taking those actions, right, to take other people's lives, most time their mind is not correct, right? So we're leading into next week, how your sexuality affects your mindset or your mind, your mental health.
Yeah. And I have a big story on that, which I did put a lot of it into my book that's on Amazon. But yeah, I'm super pumped about it, and I'm happy that we're doing it during Pride Month. I think that actually, Mary Kim, if you're open to it, and we can talk about this more on the back line, there's a couple of ladies that are part of the Mom Link that are advocates for the lesbian community. And I think that they would be an amazing guest to come on.
Absolutely. We want to bring guests on because we want to make this conversation wider and broader, and have people on here to talk about it. So absolutely.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah. So definitely, if you're tuning in, send any of us a back channel or whatever it's called on LinkedIn, or any platforms. We're the same name across all platforms, and let us know what you want us to tap into, right? Because we want to lean into the audience and what you're wanting to have an open dialogue about in a safe community. We're open, but next week for sure, we're going to talk about how sexuality helps affects our mental health. And so definitely, Heather, let's invite them over.
That'd be great. And then if you guys are wanting to find out more about our Mom Link community, you can reach out to myself or Debbie. We are an amazing community filled with women that support other women. And we are all about collaboration over competition. And we have so many different ways that once you tap in to our membership, that we will help to spotlight your business. So it's an amazing way to bring in more business for yourself if you are identifying as female and you have a business for yourself, whether it's an entrepreneurial business or a mom and pop business, because we do also help get more foot traffic into those types of businesses. So please reach out to either myself or Debbie, and we can talk to you guys about that. But otherwise, we'll see you guys next week, and we'll go back and read the comments. Some of them are coming in. I do see Heather's here as well, and she's commenting on how she's relating to us. So thank you so much for being here, Heather, and anyone else that I missed, because I can't see all the comments. Just know that we love you and we appreciate you being here, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll see you next week for sure. Stay tapped in, stay tuned with us, and have an amazing week. We can't wait to chat with you next week. Thank you, ladies.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Ladies.